My name is Ian Alexander. I'm the co-founder and CEO here at RepairTech. Today, we're really excited to show you around the brand new TechSuite and answer any questions you might have along the way. If you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the questions box there. I see a lot of familiar faces here, so I'm sure you already know how to do that. Yeah, if at any point you have questions, I'm happy to stop and go over them or do it at a good stopping point. Okay, so I want to give you a little bit of background before we just dive into the new TechSuite. We've been working on this for over a year. It's been a really long time. And in particular, Garrett, Justin, and Connor have done a really great job working more than double time in order to make this happen. This all started when we did a report. Connor surveyed all of our customers and talked to them on the phone, I'm sure many of you, and asked, what do you want us to add to TechSuite? What could be better about it? How can we make you happier? And what we found was with the old TechWaru, there wasn't much we could do because it was based on a very old infrastructure. So it was written in Visual Basic 6. It's kind of an archaic programming language. When it was first made, .NET wasn't even around. So it started to have a lot of trouble on newer machines. And a lot of the code base was built for older machines. Not only that, but it was very hard to maintain. So every time we wanted to add a new tool or update something, if one of the URLs was broken or anything like that, any feature requests you guys wanted us to build was a huge pain for us to implement. We had to release a new software version every single time. So the result of that is that it wasn't stable enough. It wasn't fast enough. You probably remember it freezing a fair amount on certain tools, or at least appearing to be frozen because it was built for older operating systems, even if it was still working. The other thing we wanted to improve was the application itself seemed like a wrapper for a bunch of third-party tools. And that was some feedback we got, was there was too many pop-ups of the applications we were running, whether we were automating them with auto IT scripts or batch scripts or command line parameters. There was just too much stuff popping up, and it was very confusing, and it didn't seem ideal for the computer repair automation. So when we set out to make this new TechSuite, we wanted it, number one, to be modern. We wanted it, number two, to be easily updatable for us so that we can ship features faster to you. Number three, we wanted to have deeper integrations with the tools that were contained within TechSuite. So we basically removed, based on statistics, a bunch of the tools that you guys weren't using. And in their place, we either wrote ourselves better tools, or we partnered with some of the best vendors in the industry in order to bring you those tools, or we just left them out because you guys weren't using them. So you'll notice that a lot of the random Windows fixes, like fix error 2203, is not in there because we don't need that anymore. We don't support Windows XP anymore, and it's a very, very small percentage of the devices. Anyway, the other thing we wanted to do is bring you more actionable results. So what I mean by that is the reports before were just us pulling logs from applications. It wasn't actually adding anything intelligent to that. So what I'm going to show you today is a brand new Windows application that basically addresses all of those issues. And in addition to that, I want to, before we jump too much into this, I want to say that we rebranded stuff because it was super confusing. So before, let me go over to this TechSuite page here so you can see that. Before, what we had was we had TechSuite, and TechSuite included TechWaru, TechUSB, and TechPortal, right? And all of those things were confusing customers. You know, they didn't understand that TechWaru, TechUSB, and TechPortal were all contained within TechSuite, so they would call things TechWaru USB and USB Tech and RepairTech as the product and all kinds of things, and that's super confusing. So that was our fault, and we fully realized that. So with this new release, we rebranded everything. So now it's all just TechSuite, right? So we are a company, RepairTech. We have two products, TechSuite and Kabuto. And TechSuite includes the TechSuite Windows app, the TechSuite bootable utility, and the TechSuite online dashboard. So there's only one brand for you to remember as far as this product goes, and it's just TechSuite. So there's that. So anyway, let's dive in and I will show you guys what the new TechSuite is all about. So here we have the newly designed TechSuite application. So one of the big changes here is that we put a large emphasis on what we call procedures. So you may remember procedures as presets. They are just lists of tools that we want to run on the computer. And in this new TechSuite, we wanted to place a heavier emphasis on procedures as opposed to tools. So here we have the tools page. These are all of the individual tools that we have on the computer. Oh, sorry, 1 second here. Oh, okay, we had some background noise there. Okay, so we wanted to place a heavier emphasis on the different tools that are in the computer, and basically make it so that you were running procedures more often and looking at tools less. So here we do have all of the same kinds of tools. One of the big differences is that we have what are called tool modes. So before, a good example is malware. So if you had recent core security, or maybe McAfee Stinger is a better example because that's 3. So before we used to have this setting in the options page, and this basically allows you to change the way that you run a tool. Before you had to go into the settings page here and modify all of that stuff before you ran the procedure, which meant more work actually getting to the point where you were running stuff. Now you just select what you want to run and click start, and you can save these as a part of your procedures. So you can have a malware removal procedure that just scans. It doesn't remove anything. And then you can have a separate one that actually does the removal. So that was one of the limitations that we got rid of. So what I want to do here is I want to go and create a procedure so you guys can see what it looks like to actually run stuff. So we'll go ahead and click this new, and we can select some tools that we want to run. Okay, so we'll go ahead and check for app crashes. We can check for blue screens. We can view the smart info on the drive, and let's see here. There's a couple other tools. Let's clean Google Chrome and Flash and Internet Explorer, and we can clear out. It looks like I have stuff in my recycling bin, so we will clear that out as well. And then why don't we run a malware tool. We're going to hijack this. That goes quickly. We have a bunch of network tools here, but I think that's good for now. It'll give you a good feel. So we'll go ahead and click continue. So we can either save this as a new procedure, and we can make it default if we want, or we can just run it without saving. So we'll go ahead and do that. So now we're running these different tools. As you can see, you're not going to have any pop-ups or anything like that. It's all contained within the application. So we'll just wait a second, and then we will see what the report looks like. Okay, while this is running, I'm going to do some questions here. Eric M. says, TechSuite looks more EULA compliant and that it's missing tools that techs quite often use in violation of EULAs. Could you possibly talk about that a little bit? Yeah, I mean, that's, we're getting into political ground. Yeah, so I and RepairTech are in favor of helping techs abide by the law within their computer repair process. We want you to run a legit business. We try to run a legit business ourselves and do things the right way. And the problem is that technicians often are left out from end user license agreements by companies that make software for consumers. And so they're stuck in this weird gray area where the EULA wasn't designed for them, and they either have to pirate the software, and by pirate I mean use it against the EULA, or not use it at all. And so even more gray area, you have these tools like TechSuite or D7 or UVK or something that are essentially enabling you to automate those tools and use those tools within their tool set, but you're not really allowed to use those tools. So what we really want to do is set a precedent for how technicians should be doing computer repair. So we've partnered with all of these companies, and we've ensured that all of the tools that are in here are legal for you to use. There's a huge benefit to doing that, and that is that the tools themselves are more deeply integrated. So a good example would be, let's open the UI back up. If you go to tools here and you go to malware, so like I talked to the guy who made Rogue Killer. I talk to him regularly on Skype, and you can't do the things that we can do in TechSuite with Rogue Killer without it being in TechSuite. We got him to build us special stuff so that you could remove more and have more command line parameters and stuff, and that's not available outside of TechSuite. And so that over multiple tools makes a really big difference, because we're essentially getting you premium functionality from these tools and making it legal for you to use them when you couldn't do that otherwise. So yeah, we take it very seriously, and we're doing our best to make it to make it legal for you to use. We got another question here from Mike. He says, "Are you looking to add Malwarebytes into the list?" No, not really. You can. The problem with Malwarebytes is that their licensing is really not that great for techs, and frankly, from a strategic perspective, it's not the best decision for us, just because they're making a similar tool. But the thing we do have is we have a bunch of things that are basically the same, right? Like Zamana Anti-Malware is a very much lesser known scanner, but basically does the exact same thing as Malwarebytes. So we have that very deeply integrated here. Recent Core Security, you guys probably remember RepairTech, right? So RepairTech was an awesome tool. It used 68 cloud scanners in order to scan all of your files, including Malwarebytes engine. And Recent Core Security is the new product by the same company. So they don't actually actively develop RepairTech anymore. They make Recent Core Security now. The company name is Reason Software. And so Recent Core Security takes all of the same advantages that RepairTech had and adds them into a better core engine. So Recent Core Security is awesome, and we're very deeply partnered with them as well. So you're getting really good scanners, and we are trying to add some more. There's a couple more that we have on our mind right now, but Malwarebytes isn't really one of them. However, you can go to My Apps here, and you can add your own apps. So if you go to New, you could add Malwarebytes Pro in here, and it's very easy to do. We have a new feature that allows you to, I'll just show you, Test App, and you choose the operating systems. And if you choose Browse for App locally, then what it's going to do is it's going to tell you to browse for the application. So let's just pick some random tool. There it is. And we'll click Upload. And the really cool thing about this is that now we upload it to our servers, so you don't have to deal with carrying that executable around. So before, when you browsed locally, you had to worry about bringing that executable everywhere and making sure it was on your USB drive or whatever. Now it's all contained on our servers, so you can just upload it and not worry about it. So then you select all of your options here, you click Save, and now it is an app that is contained within TechSuite. So we have that, and see, there it is now, Test App. So if you bought Malwarebytes Tech Bench, or you bought, for that matter, any tool, Fabs, I was just testing Fabs Auto Backup. We just made a guide on how to add Fabs. So if you bought Fabs, you can add it very easily just by doing that whole process, because he gives you an executable, right? So if you love Malwarebytes, you can still use it. Let's see. I want to quickly, before I get back to questions, we still haven't covered these reports, and they're awesome, so I want to show them to you. So these are the new reports. They're still custom brandable, so you can put your own logo here. We have the customer information. We have information about the hard drives on this computer, system specs. Here we have this new thing called Insights, and Insights are really awesome. So we run the insights regardless of which tools you run. So you're always going to see the insights if there are insights. What the insights do is we check for, shall I say, opportunities for the technician they should know about on the computer. So it could be there's a blue screen, it failed the overall health status check on a hard drive, there were recent application crashes, there's no antivirus installed, this hard drive needs to be defragmented, those kinds of things. They're just general checks that you should know about. And we bring them to you here in this Insights section without you doing any additional work. So in this case, it detected we've had 75 application crashes in the last 30 days, which means I should probably check out my event log to see what those were. Alternatively, and I already knew it was going to come up with this because I always have app crashes, you can run the check for app crashes tool, which just gives you a list of all the apps that have crashed. Okay, next, I'm going to skip that for a second because I want to go down to some of these cleanup tools. Okay, so the other big thing we did is we summarize tools for you. So I mentioned that we were making parsers. So this is the clean Google Chrome log, right? In the old TechSuite, this was what you had in your report. You had to go through all of that. And if you remove 10 gigs and it can do that, that's a really long log. And it requires you to print it out. So what we did was we basically put that in here. If you want to see it, you still can. But we parse these logs for you and pull out the information you actually need to know. So here it says disk space recovered, files deleted. And we do that for all the tools. Any of the tools that we can parse, we do. And if you guys have any ideas for like better ways we can parse these tools, it's super easy for us to modify those, so we want to know. So we have all these cleanup tools that we ran, right? They all cleaned up different amounts. And one of my favorite improvements in the new TechSuite is that we aggregate those and we add them together. So you can see in the procedure summary how much space was freed overall. And that's something you really can't get without using TechSuite in your repair process. I mean, I guess you could read those logs and you could write it, calculate it out. You could add it up manually, but it's like not that feasible when you add up a bunch of tools, right? So we have procedure summaries for quite a few tools. We're still adding more. So again, if you have other ideas, we'd love to hear them. One of the other ones that's pretty cool is we did it for all the malware scanners. So we basically show you number of infected files found across all the different malware applications. So that's very cool. Here's another example of a summary. This one doesn't even have an output log, but we basically just say there's no blue screens. Here is the hard drive info one. It says my hard drive's okay, so that is good. Hijack this. This is one of the only ones actually that we don't parse because the whole point of hijack this is the log. So there's not really much we can remove here. I have fantasized about having some kind of community aggregated like health scoring system for these files so that people could say, yes, this is good, or yes, this is bad, and then we can all get more intelligent as a community. They have those kinds of things if you go to like online hijack this log analyzers, but there's no Windows application that does that. As far as I know. If there is, please let me know. Okay, so that is a report. Let's get back to some questions. Let's see here. Sean says, where did you guys come across these lesser known tools? Have they been vetted for security themselves? These tools aren't unknown in any way, shape, or form. They're very well known, but some of them are not very well known in the United States. So like RepairTech is a really well-known tool. People just don't know the name of the company that makes RepairTech, right? And so we had RepairTech in the old TechSuite and have worked with that company for a long time, just not on a very deep level. And when we contacted them about the new TechSuite and wanting to work more closely with them, we learned that they were developing these new tools and were stopping developing RepairTech. And so that was kind of a natural thing for us. Techs love RepairTech. So I have no concerns about their company. They're great. As far as Zamana goes, they're pretty well known in Europe, actually. They're just not huge in the United States. So, I mean, none of these tools are, frankly, a lot of the tools that techs use are so much less legit than these lesser known ones. I mean, I'll just give you an example. Like, I know you guys love ADW Cleaner, but it's like one guy and he makes stuff and it's like just not a very, I don't know. Hopefully it'll get better since Malwarebytes just acquired it, but it's a frustrating tool to work with, which is why we don't have it in there. So the tools that we have, we vet very hard. We want to make sure these are the best tools that techs can be using. So we're constantly taking feature requests, talking to techs, and if we hear about a tool a certain number of times and how it's great, we look into it and we make sure that it's great before we add it. There are a lot of tools that, as a technician, and I can speak from experience in this because I was a tech, you might on the surface think are really good, but then coming from the perspective of a software developer, you can see certain things about a tool that make it that you know are like very unprofessional, and that says a lot about a tool and whether we want to include it or not. Let's see here. Question from Mike. Don't mean to jump the gun, but is the new TechSuite integrated with Kabuto anyhow? Not yet, but it will be. Greg says, are there plans to allow for auto numbering of system scans? For example, I use the year, 16, then the day number of the year, 307, then a unique 3 digits, 001, that I increment. So I am assuming you mean the ticket number here. No, we don't have any plans to do that. I mean, it's very easy for us to do. So if there's like a majority desired algorithm for determining what the ticket number is, then we can certainly do that. I can tell you that one of the things that we are doing for the customer name is if there is no customer name, by default, we're going to pull the computer name and put it in there, because that way for most of them you don't have to worry about it. Let's see here. Terry says, is it possible to use any of these scans on a Mac? There's only one way to do that. If you are able to put a Mac hard drive in a hard drive dock, and then mount it in Windows, which I'm not 100%, you can do that actually, then you could scan with it. But other than that, no. You can do the same thing with TechUSB, incidentally. If you put any hard drive, attach any hard drive to your computer and boot into TechUSB, it will scan all the drives. And TechUSB is actually far more tailored to remove Mac and Linux malware in addition to Windows malware than these tools are. Question from Greg. Plans to integrate Kabuto and TechSuite, launch a TechSuite scan right from our Kabuto dashboard, for example. Yeah, I guess I did already answer that one. But yes, we do have plans to integrate the two. Chris says, is there a way to run the virus/spyware scans and it not remove any infections until giving approval? Yeah, I mean, so that's what the purpose of these run modes is. You can choose the way that you scan for malware here. So the way you would do that is you would run a procedure that's scan only, and then you would run it again with like delete if you want to remove that stuff. There is not currently a way to like show at the end a checklist of all of the malware that was found. That is something that is feasible, but is very complicated, so we didn't want to include it in this initial launch version. Let's see here. Let's go back. There's more questions. Paul says, if you're running a preset configuration, is there an easy way to skip a procedure without creating a custom script? Say I want to use items 1 to 5, skip 6, run 7 to 10, and skip 11. Maybe I'm not I think there's like some ways to do that. Let me show you. Let's see here. Let's run a procedure. We can run the basic diagnostics one, except I don't want to run system file checker because that takes a while. So let's go ahead and do a new one. Okay, so we have a couple different tools here. All right. Oops. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click continue, and we'll run this without saving. So we have a skip button. So if you want to skip a tool, you can skip it. It's very easy to do that. You can also make your own procedure. So you can make all the things that we want, that we have in our procedures, but without those tools. So I don't know exactly which use case you were referring to, but I mean, yeah, there's the skip button, and there's also like making your own procedure. Question from Denton, do you have Windows Update's repair tools? This is a major pain in the field. Yes, we do. Let me stop this procedure. That's another new feature. You can stop stuff. So I will show you the tools we have for that. In the meantime, I really want to show you the new tech portal, or it's now called the TechSuite Online Dashboard. But it's super cool. We still have on the bench, so you can see what's happening on computers. So this is the run we're doing right now, right? And you can see what's happening on that computer. You can see what is running. Another really cool thing is you can view partial reports. So as you're running the tool, we're uploading the report. So if you've run 5 out of the 10 tools, you'll be able to see the report for the first 5 tools while they're running, which is really awesome because you can say, you can start a procedure at a client's computer, leave, and check the progress while you're at lunch. It's very cool. Let's see. Another really cool thing that was changed here is obviously this whole user interface is kind of like revamped a little bit. We have new colors, and there's a new logo and everything. But one of the really cool things is you can customize these this UI. So if you go over to the branding section, you can go to the bottom here, and you can change your branding colors. So this is the teal one. This is the one you get by default. You can switch it to dark if you want. And it's just a different color scheme. And that's pretty cool because you can match your logo a little bit better. In addition to that, you can select your own. So you can actually choose your own hex codes for the colors here. Coming back to the reports, one of the things that you can custom brand other than the logo at the top is you can change this information as well. So that was in the branding page you just saw. You can change this message, and you can change all of these. So here we have the dark color scheme. Here's that report stuff I mentioned. And, you know, that's most of it. If you go to application settings here, the other thing is we have this hosted custom app usage. So this is all of the, whenever you like make a new custom app in the My Apps section here, and you upload an executable, we give you 1 gig of storage for all of those apps. So this just shows you how much of the usage you have used up. But if you get to the point where you reach a gig, you can just delete some of those apps, and it'll delete them in the in our servers, and then you've freed up space. In addition to that, we have a universal startup password now. So if you want to set a startup password here, so you say, like, I want to make this password test, then it will sync to here, and then all of your TechSuite applications will have the same password. Okay, coming back, you had a question about Windows updates. We have a couple different things. Let's see. So we have in the network section, we have repair Windows updates. So this will repair that. We also have in the maintenance section install Windows updates. So if there's any available updates, it will install them. You can also clean the Windows Update cache. I believe in the system section, you can also clean updates. So there's quite a few things for that. I don't know if that's what you were asking for, but we have quite a few tools related to Windows updates. Let's see. Troy says, speaking of integrations, Repair Shopper. Yeah, so I don't know what you mean by that, but Repair Shopper has, we still have an integration with Repair Shopper. Essentially, you just enter your API key information, and then it will sync your reports over to tickets. We also are dramatically improving the integration on the Kabuto end with Repair Shopper. Christopher says, can the diagnostic tools license checker pull up Windows 10 and Office 2016 license keys? Are you developing tools for Mac? Yeah, it should be able to pull up both. As far as developing tools for Mac, I have said this before and I will say it again. We would love to make you a Mac tool, but every time you ask for a Mac tool, you guys never tell us what you want in a Mac tool. So we have struggled to find a use case, or I should say a checklist of tools that you want automated on Mac. So if you want a Mac tool, what we need is for you to send us your Mac checklist and what we might be able to automate for you within the Mac environment. If you can do that, we can build the tool. So I will put my email address in here. Feel free to send me your checklist. There it is. It's in the chat box. Okay. Greg says, is TechUSB UEFI compatible? That's one of the remaining things we haven't released yet. So if you go over to the download section, you'll see that there's two different downloads. One is the Windows app, which we just looked at. The other is the TechSuite bootable utility, previously known as TechUSB. So TechUSB is being developed. We're going to launch a big new version within the next couple weeks that has UEFI compatibility. So you don't have to any longer disable secure boot and enable legacy mode. So once we release the new version, you won't have to do that anymore. In addition to that, it's based on a newer operating system that has far more drivers. So it just has a lot more support and will work on a wider array of computers. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. It's just the whole infrastructure behind it is way better. Let's see here, more questions. Phil says, not a question, just a comment. This looks awesome. What a huge improvement. Yeah, we're really excited about it. It's not just that it is better, it's that it lays the framework or the groundwork for us to improve it faster going forward. Just as an example, every time you close and start up TechSuite, it syncs with our servers and pulls down new settings. So it's really cool because we've removed a lot of the source code from the app and moved it over to our API. So before, all of the different applications, their definitions were stored within the source code of the app, the Windows app. So for example, if you wanted to run, if you wanted to run McAfee Stinger in the old one, that code to run McAfee Stinger was in the Windows app. Now, all of these tools and so much of the configuration is stored on our servers, which means that we can fix those tools, we can change those tools, we can add new tools by simply going to our server and adding some stuff. And then the next time you open the Windows app, you automatically get that. We don't even have to release an update for the Windows app. So the Windows app is a lot more like an engine now, pulling stuff and configurations from the web. And that allows us to fix things faster, release things faster, add more tools. It's far more stable. So there's just so many things about this that are better, and we're really happy about it. Chris says, how accurate is the hard drive health scan compared to something like DFT? I have no idea what DFT stands for. Drive something test. Drive fitness test? Anyway, I can tell you exactly how this works. So I actually wrote this tool. So we have this new tool in here. This was not in the previous version. Basically, it does the exact same thing that TechUSB does when it scans for hard drive issues. So first, it enables Smart on drives that have it disabled. Then it scans, well, first it scans for available drives. Then it enables Smart when disabled. Then it checks the overall health status of the drive. Assuming that passes, then it runs a Smart short test. And if the Smart short test passes, it usually takes about 2 minutes to run that, then it continues on. And it reads all of the attributes of the hard drive that are reported by Smart. And if any of them are like going to fail soon, it gives you a failure message. So it's pretty robust. It's not perfect, but it will get almost all mechanical and electrical and old age type issues on the hard drive. So, I mean, the ideal thing in all cases pretty much is that you run hard drive tests from outside the operating system. So that's why we highly recommend running TechUSB. But this is pretty good for a Windows tool. Most of the other hard drive tools that you can download that run within Windows don't actually allow you to run short tests. They just show you the information, which may be way out of date. Okay. Question from Mike. He says, can we submit our own recommended procedures, which in turn can be added to the TechSuite app as an update so other techs can use them? Yeah, definitely. We can change. So I mentioned that all this stuff is synced with the web, right? I can change these in 5 seconds. So if you have some recommended changes to these default procedures, send them my way. We're happy to fix these up and make them better. The reason they are the way they are now is because this is what techs told us. These are the tools techs are using in these specific situations. And we basically compile all of that feedback and make these procedures. So the more feedback, the better. Give us more feedback. We will gladly improve these. Let's see here. Joseph says, got in late, can you send me a link to the recording? Yeah, so we're recording this webinar. We will be sending out the recording 24 hours after the webinar ends. And that will happen automatically via email. Paul says, what is the total number of apps TechSuite can use? Can you give me a ballpark? Well, it depends what you consider a tool, right? Because first of all, you can add as many tools as you want in the My Apps section. So I guess one answer is unlimited. Another answer is like, well, do you consider each of these a tool, right? Because cleaning out memory dumps is completely different from cleaning out those system logs, right? So it depends, but you know, it's somewhere between 50 and 200. So I don't know. It really depends on your perspective. But like I said, we are planning on adding a lot more tools. Just our bar for the quality of these tools is a lot higher now. We really only want to work with the best vendors in the industry that have the best tools. Let's see. Are you planning on integrating with PC Repair Tracker? Yeah, so that's been requested many times, and I'm happy to do so. It's a lot easier for us to do that now that this new TechSuite is out. We probably didn't have the bandwidth to before, but if you use PC Repair Tracker, I already put my email in there, so feel free to introduce me by email to somebody at PC Repair Tracker, and we'll see if we can get that rolling. Denton says, yes, great tool. Thanks for making this so easy. Set it and forget it until it's through. Yeah, yes. Every tool right now, one of the things that I'm really proud about is that every tool in here is fully automated. And that is awesome. We are really happy about that. And hopefully we will continue to do it that way. We have considered for some of these tools making a mode that actually pops up the UI. But if at all possible, just because some people want to mess with the UI, but if at all possible, I really want to avoid that. because it's nice that everything is contained within the app and it's just so simple. Is Registry Investigator being updated as new malware comes to light? Yeah, so actually you probably saw this. It's in the malware section here. This tool is actually not released yet. So I get this because I have a test account. But we are working with Ken Dwight, the virus doctor, who is also, essentially we made Registry Investigator, and Ken Dwight provided the definitions. So we're basically taking his process and automating it. We have rebuilt this tool, and we are giving Ken the ability to, on the fly, add new definitions. So it will constantly be updated as he as he basically finds out about new malware. So yeah, it will be updated. It's just not available yet. Is there a list of recommended paid apps to add to my apps, such as Fabs? Yeah. So we are working on some kind of ideas for that. It's not finalized yet. It's still conceptual, but we certainly do want to partner with vendors who have software that doesn't necessarily fit in TechSuite, right? Like Fabs Auto Backup is a really good example. It's a great tool, but it's not really something you would automate. I mean, I guess Fabs in itself is automation, but all I'm saying is it requires too much upfront setup to be a part of like a procedure, but it would be really cool to have as a tool in here, right? So we are partnering with some vendors like Fabs in order to make it very easy for you to add tools like that. So we hope to make that a little more visible. But in the meantime, I actually wrote this yesterday, but there's like a guide on our help center, how to add Fabs Auto Backup as a custom application. So you can go in there and check it out. It's super easy. As you can see, it's like, 7 steps, but it's essentially just adding it as a custom app. Yeah. Let's see here. Is the pricing the same, asks Jeff. Yeah, we haven't changed it at all. So better product, same price. Denton says, any new build setup tools, add apps like Ninite. Yeah, I mean, we have in the software section, we have a lot of the same things as Ninite has. These both install and update. So if it's already installed, it attempts to update them. If you have any tools you'd like us to add to this, we're happy to. Our goal, I mean, if you have Ninite Pro, again, you can add it as a custom app super easily, and it'll just be in there, right? We even give you the ability, if you go into here to parameters, you can give it command line parameters, and it will be fully automated, and you can just add it to a procedure. So if you purchase Ninite, go ahead and put it in there. Our goal with the software section was to kind of make it so maybe you didn't need Ninite, but yeah, just let us know if you want us to add stuff. Greg says, can you add a feature where we can export our procedure lists and possibly share them in a forum for text with TechSuite accounts? That is an awesome idea. We would love to do that. In the meantime, if you want to do that, you can, I guess you could take a screenshot or something and post them on the forums, or you could, is there a way to do that? I don't know. I need to ask our developers about that. There may already be a way to do that, but I need to check. Chris says, while we were running one of the default scans, it crashed while trying to update the malware database. Is there a failsafe for if it runs, even if it returns an error? I've never heard of it doing that. So I would be really curious to know which malware tool did that so that I can just fix it. But yeah, I mean, it shouldn't crash. So anyway, if you could send me your debug log, that would be really helpful. Stuff is really easy to fix now in this new tech suite. So if there is indeed a bug there, like, shouldn't be that big of a deal. Sean asks for the link to this. I will put it in chat. There it is. Okay, how do you update your custom apps? Our custom apps or your custom apps? I just want to clarify, Harry. So I'm asking is like the tools that we add or the tools that you add? Apps that we add. Yeah, so there's a couple ways you can do that, right? So if you go into My Apps here and you edit any of these tools, so let's edit one. So if you browse for the app locally and we're hosting it, obviously, first of all, what you can do is you can go to edit again and you can browse locally, and then you can browse here, give it the new version, and it will replace the old version. So there's one way you can update stuff. The second way is if you don't browse locally, you can give us a download link. And some of those tools, they may have download links where they automatically update the application, but they don't change the link. So that's another way that you can deal with that. Okay, let's see here. Question from Christopher. Just started using your tools within our company, and this has made our workflow very smooth. Keep up the hard work. New system looks great. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. That's why we did it. Jeff says, is there ability to add WSUS offline installer? Yeah, again, you can just add it as a custom app. It's super easy to do. The only reason, so we considered adding WSUS. The problem is with WSUS, there's too much configuration that's required, and so there's no way to make it automated out of the box. So rather than us trying to like come up with some janky solution, we figured that you can add it super easily and configure it and give it a command line parameter and you're done. Jonathan says, how functional is the console version? It should be very functional. One of the things that we did with the new version is we turned everything, we have a separate executable now for the command line version. I don't have enough time in this webinar, we have about 8 more minutes to show you that, but there's really good documentation on our website. Let's see here. Let's see if you go to documentation here. There's really good documentation on how that works. All you really have to do is, if you just run it with the -H command, you'll see exactly how it works. You can essentially run any of the, here's all the command line parameters. So you can run any of your procedures. You could even string multiple procedures together, which is something you can't do yet with the GUI version. You can see what tools you have. You can download tools ahead of time if you want. So you can string multiple tools together. So that's how you run something that's not a procedure. You can set and remove the password. There's all kinds of cool things you can do, and it's really robust. So let's see here. Okay. Looks like I made it through almost all the questions here. We got about 7 more minutes before we have to wrap up. So any last questions? Oh, I do want to say, so if you don't currently have a TechSuite account, or you had a TechSuite account and you weren't using it anymore, but now you want to try this new TechSuite, we are happy to extend a trial for you. It's not a big deal. Obviously, if you are an existing TechSuite customer, you already have access to the new version. Harry asks, when will Registry Investigator be available? We have a couple little kinks to work out. There's like a couple little bugs with it on Windows 10 that we're just, we just have to kind of investigate a little bit, but it's not a big deal. It's just part of the development process. Once we're done developing it, we're going to give it over to Ken Dwight, and he's going to basically fill out kind of an Excel sheet of all the definitions and what it should do when it finds those things, and then we just plug it in, and we're done. So as far as timeline on that, I would say I don't know, but hopefully within a month. Andrew says, how long should it take to load? Mine is taking over a minute now. Are you talking about the Windows app? Got it. It shouldn't take a long time. What it does do when it loads up is I can show you. It checks for updates. That's the first thing. So if there is an update, it will take a little bit longer to load. But the other thing that it does is it downloads your logo and branding information. So if for some reason if your logo is like really big, then it will take longer. So that is, maybe take a look at the size of your logo. That might help. I don't know. What did I start up two? I started up two of them at the same time. Of course, that's not going to work. Anyway, okay. Are there any issues running TechSuite in safe mode? There should not be. If you find any, let us know. You should be able to run it perfectly fine in safe mode. Alp says, are you guys planning to add options to run multiple procedures via GUI? Yeah, we're kind of trying to figure out what the most intuitive way to do that is. So we're trying to figure that out. Eventually, it would be nice if you could do that. I hope I'm not botching your name, but Bhavin says, is there any release date in mind for the updated TechUSB? Yeah, we want to release it. I don't have an exact date, but certainly this month. We've been working on it for like 6 months. So it's ready. It's pretty close to ready. Hopefully in the next couple weeks. All right. So it looks like that's all the questions. Thank you guys for coming by. We are going to send out a recording of this 24 hours after the webinar ends. And if you do have any follow-up questions or anything, feel free to shoot me an email. My email address is in the message box there. It's just ian@repairtechsolutions.com, and I'll be happy to help. Otherwise, thank you guys and have a good day.